What's up, everyone? Brian from Guardians of the Geckos here, and I am with Kevin and Morgan from Omni Geckos.
Yes.
And we are going to be talking about cappuccinos and super cappuccinos.
I'm going up, got that look in my eye, the feeling inside, and I know I'm on the move now. Hey, whoa, we're finally fireproof.
What's up, everyone? Brian here from Guardians of the Geckos, and in today's video, we will be talking about a brand new crested gecko morph. And that morph is, well, hang on just a second, all right?
Welcome to Dunkin'. What can I get for dinner?
Hi there, can I get 3 iced cappuccinos, all 3 of them medium?
Alright.
And that's all.
Alright, you want to pull forward. Alright, here you go.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
You too. All right, guys, so if you've been following the crested gecko breaking news within the last year or so, you've probably heard about the new morphs, cappuccinos and super cappuccinos. And of course, I'm not talking about the drink. So, in today's video, what we're gonna be doing is meeting up with our friends over at Omni Geckos, because they, uniquely enough, produced their very own, allegedly, super cappuccino crested gecko, which means that they have cappuccinos that were able to produce this super cappuccino. So we're gonna go to their place right now. That's where I'm heading. We're still 15 minutes out. We're bringing them some iced cappuccinos. We're gonna break down their physical characteristics and attributes and kind of see what the process was, how they discovered they had this new gecko morph. And yeah, we're gonna take some awesome macro shots of these geckos to really see some of their unique characteristics that sets these cappuccinos apart from other crested gecko morphs. And yeah, it's gonna be pretty awesome. We're supposed to be talking about cappuccinos, right?
Oh, yes. Wow. Man, I'm gonna be all talkative now. I'm gonna be all fired up.
That's the point.
Okay. I was like, I don't know why you want me to come over here, but buddy.
All right, guys, so
Wow.
this is gonna be great.
I'm sorry.
We are hanging out with Omni Geckos today because they did something really, really super cool. Oh, there we go, represent.
Yeah.
So they recently produced a
Super cappuccino.
super cappuccino. We're gonna basically talk about it in this video, how you guys discovered you even had a cappuccino in the first place, because this morph is brand spanking new. It's only been out for
Like 2 years.
Yeah.
maybe 2 years max.
2 years.
So let's go ahead and kind of dig into how this happened. But first, as you are all waiting for, let's check out what this little guy looks like. All right, so here is the little guy himself that they just produced. You produced him, what, a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
All right. So what was, I guess, your first reaction? Because this is like the newest freaking crazy morph that's out there right now.
Yeah, it was actually really funny because we've been waiting for it to hatch, and I think I remember that we were like, oh, it's not gonna hatch because hers incubates a lot longer because it was her first time. And so then it finally did hatch, and he was in here and he said, oh, the egg hatched. And then I was laying down in bed and I said to myself, I was like, if it's not a super cap, I ain't getting up. And then he's like, I think it is. And I was like, get out of town. So then I got up really quick, and then there it was.
So you guys have been working towards, if I got this right, producing this little guy. You were expecting it. You
Yeah.
had an idea that you already had cappuccinos.
Yes.
And your goal was to produce this guy, the super cappuccino. So, and obviously we'll show some close-up pictures on camera here, but he does have a little bit different physical attributes than the ones we've seen from RCK.
Yes.
So he doesn't have the solid eyes, but he does have the longer tail. He doesn't have the fringes either,
Yeah.
and his scaling is also a little more separated.
Yes.
So-
And he's transparent.
And he is transparent. Not quite, I would say, as theirs, but at least from the pictures, I haven't seen them firsthand, but yeah, if you shine a light up to this little guy, you can definitely see through him 100%. So, very unique. So, next, we'll bring, Kevin, get over here. Let's bring, I guess
Hi, y'all.
Highway is like your main star.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and bring him out and kind of, I guess, if you guys want to just talk about how you got to producing this awesome little fella here.
This
So-
is Highway.
Yeah, there he is. So basically, if I'm correct, he's the one that made it all happen. So if you want to, Morgan, just elaborate on, I guess, how you acquired him and what led you guys to producing this beautiful little crested gecko.
We bought him 4 years ago at a reptile show, and I remember seeing him on the table, and I noticed that there was something about him, and I actually like went around and I was like, I might circle back. And it was funny because I went and I talked to Manatee Suncoast.
Yeah, Catherine?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I was like, can you show me what your axanthics looked like when you hatched them? And then she showed it to me, and I said, dang, that looks like that gecko that was on that table. I'm gonna go snatch him up. And then that's what I did.
And it was just from a no-name breeder that
Yeah.
Yep.
was just,
Yeah.
Just purely because he looked cool.
yeah.
Kind
Yeah.
of resembled that of an Axanthics, but not
Yeah.
And
not
this is,
having any lineage.
and this is what,
as far as an Axanthic.
5 years?
4 years ago.
4 years ago,
4
when
years ago.
obviously no one had any idea what a cappuccino was. You just
Yeah.
got him because he looked cool.
Yeah, he looked
Yep.
cool.
So-
He resembled the axanthics, and so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get him.
Yeah, nice. And you guys were pretty much brand new into breeding even back then, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he was probably our third or fourth gecko that I got.
Like, that's absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah.
That,
And even back then, being as inexperienced as we were, we noticed very quickly that there was like a night and day difference between his kids. We just had no explanation. There was
Yeah.
no,
Yeah. He was
no
just
information
unique,
at the time. Yeah.
For sure.
So that's why we bred him for a few years, and then that was when RCK
To
came
several
out
different
with
types of females as well.
yeah. But then RCK came out with the super caps, and that was like a big thing that blew up in the whole crested world.
so
And
they
we-
started posting pictures, and you were kind of like, wait, this looks similar?
It was more so that we had already established a following, and people were hitting us up.
Same.
And they were like,
Oh, you
dude,
look
I think
into
you
that.
have one of those. And we were like, well, we have some of his kids that we're starting to raise and everything. So it just happened to time out perfectly that.
Yeah, and it was really funny because his daughter, Karen, who y'all will see
That's a
later.
great name.
Yeah.
Well, she is what she's named after. We actually tried to sell her so many times, and we couldn't.
Yeah.
Either the buyer would fall through, or we would fall through. As far as like, they were out of the country, and we were like, well, we're not exporting. Sorry, we didn't know that you guys were
Yeah.
out of country. But yeah. So then it's a miracle that we still have her to pair to him.
So let me get this right. So cappuccinos come out, RCK's posting, you get contacted by who? Or if it matters?
It was one of our
Ooh.
followers on
Okay.
Instagram. His name
Okay.
was Sentex, I believe is his name.
Okay.
And he was like, hey, I think you guys have this. And then he sent us an article that Little Monsters had just put out. And I think Pangea published the same article, or it was very similar on their website. And we read it, and it was like word for word. It explained exactly the stuff that we were seeing with our
Their
line.
physical or visual characteristics, you're
Yes.
matching up with what you're already producing at this point, and you've already produced several babies
Yes.
that
Yes.
are all showing those same signs.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
amazing.
But after reading the article, then we started looking at some of our newer stuff as we
Okay.
kind of drifted from the patternless females to more of the solid white females. And then we started finding different characteristics that were our own,
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
unique to our line, that RCK we weren't seeing from him either.
Okay. So, and because you learned all this, your plans changed. You did want to 100%, if I got this right, prove out that these are in fact
Yeah.
cappuccinos. So
Yes.
therefore, you did line breed at least the one of the daughters you produced from Highway, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Eventually went back to Highway.
Yes.
So
Yes.
2 cappuccinos, and it's so cappuccino. Let's back up for a second. It's similar to like a lily white trait. It's incomplete dominant.
Yeah.
So, however, in lily whites, if you put 2 lily whites together, the super form leucistic is essentially a non-viable offspring.
Yeah.
Where in cappuccinos, the super form is a viable super cappuccino, and
Yes.
everything we've seen so far, it seems like the babies have been thriving
Yes.
and growing up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why you did it, because you just wanted to make sure that's basically
Sure.
what's
Yeah.
happening with yours.
Oh, yes.
And so this little guy hatched out a few weeks ago, and that 100% proved
Yes.
that you guys do, in fact, Highway is actually a
cappuccino.
special little gecko here that they randomly got and had no idea all those years
Yeah.
ago. In a
Yeah.
way, they hit the Crested Gecko lottery and had no idea originally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just such a cool story. So I think next, let's bring out some of the babies of the other cappuccinos and just kind of compare so everyone can see a little closer shot of what makes a cappuccino and how you guys, because even me, I'm brand new at this still. This is the first time I'm seeing them like up close like this. I'm having difficulty even
Yeah.
differentiating between what is a cappuccino and what is not a cappuccino. So
I got you.
let's go ahead and, yeah, you got me?
Yeah, I
Let's
got
do
you.
it.
We got you. We got you.
All right, so this is Highway's first kid that popped out, and which made our heads turn. We knew that something special was about this gecko.
How do I know, looking at this gecko, that this is a cappuccino?
They do say that the cappuccinos, they do have a smaller crest, and then there are some other factors of the tail where it would have more of a brighter white on the top of the tail, and then some of them have the Y, and then the blacked out tail that we have going on back here. That's usually our big tail.
And
for
when this
us.
one was a baby, this like first highlight part of the tail there was a lot more like brighter white, right?
It actually
Or-
was more yellow,
Yellow?
when he first popped out.
Okay.
And as he's aged, he has gotten more creamy. And we do have a lot of this speckling on up onto their crest here, and then their head usually has a tendency to be like a muted brown copper.
Which sometimes that you won't even necessarily see the brown. The brown head will start to exaggerate more as they reach adulthood.
Okay.
So sometimes, a lot of times you'll see them kind of the egg with a brown head. Sometimes it won't be so noticeable until they start reaching adulthood, then their head will start to change.
It's a specific brown.
Yeah.
Like it's a muted brown.
Okay.
It's not a very warm one.
And something interesting about Kirishima is he was the first cappuccino that we hatched out of Ombre, that's his mom, that is more of a solid dorsal with lots of white patterning. And so we believe that's why he carried on a lot of that dorsal pattern on top of what you would normally see with like a cappuccino with the drips and everything.
Yeah.
Kirishima's kind of drips all the way towards the center,
Yeah.
like an exaggerated drip.
And I was, like you told me earlier, your line of cappuccinos has so much more just pattern coverage on that dorsal than a lot of the ones I've seen pictures.
Yeah,
of.
blown out dorsals is what people are referring to it as.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool,
And
cool.
So that's kind of what we're.
And I think that's why a lot of people were skeptical that you guys even had cappuccinos at
Yes.
first. Was just
Yeah.
because of the amount of pattern y'all's have.
Mhm.
So especially some of the babies, which I think we're gonna look at next. On
Yeah,
how
they have some
beautiful they
pretty-
are.
Pretty
And-
wild markings on them.
Something also really interesting is with that high white dorsal, a lot of times we're seeing almost like a highlighted orange or yellow dorsal. You'll still see the white on the base of the tail, similar to like RCK, but it'll have like a highlighted yellow kind of covering it. And
Yeah.
within the first month or couple months, you'll see that start to dissipate, and then that bright white will start to come out.
The same thing with their side patterns as well. They'll come out with side patterns, and you can actually see the remnants of those side patterns, but they're more muted. You can't. And so from far away, they look like they're kind of more blank on the sides, but really they have like almost tiger markings.
Something that we've noticed is like some of the patterns that you would see typically like a tiger or like a harlequin, that'll pass through. In his case, you can kind of, if you
You
zoom in,
can
you kind of see like the
clearly
tiger
see.
marks. But as
Yeah,
far
yeah, I was
as
gonna say I see it on
portholes,
him there.
portholes and lateral patterns and such like that, we've seen that get muted out a lot of the times, like as opposed to the clutch mate, which we've seen a lot of like quad striping and stuff like that, which would be the non-cap clutch mate.
Okay.
Now we have recently introduced Shimera. She's a white wall, super high white on her laterals, and we've gotten really, really interesting offspring out of her, where we are actually starting to see a lot of lateral patterns, which we've never seen previously with our cappuccinos. So.
Okay, so this is our showstopper. This is what gets everybody liking on our page, and they're hitting us up because this is what catches people's eye. This the amount of white on her dorsal.
Yeah, she almost looks like a lily, like with that white on
Yeah,
top.
her dorsal, and that's something that we've seen with the high white non-cap females. That
But
we've
no
kept
lily,
highlighted.
even in her lineage.
No,
Yeah.
and that's something that we've seen is the dorsal will resemble much of like a frappuccino.
Yeah.
Hers transitions a little higher up towards the head, whereas like
Yeah, she has
some of
nice
our others.
blonde.
Yeah, which a frappuccino is basically a lily white cappuccino.
Yes. We have had similar results to Urza not being a lily white, where it will transition halfway down the dorsal, more similar to the frappuccinos, but not actually having that lily white gene.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like essentially we've dorsal wise we've created a frappuccino without the lily white.
Almost, yeah.
Almost.
Which is
Something-
much-
something
it's-
very
I mean,
big
These
for
are
us.
very attractive geckos.
Yeah.
I mean,
They're very different and
Just-
unique.
like nice pure cream on top.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's
she's
very cool.
beautiful.
Our goal is we want to have a completely solid white dorsal.
Yeah, and I'm sure
With
even
the
on
blanked
camera
out
too, it's not even
laterals.
doing these geckos justice.
Oh yeah, it's,
Yeah. She does have one spot on her side that
I was gonna say that. Is that like a porthole? Like
Yes.
in her
It
genetics?
looks it.
Or
we've typically seen the porthole patterns and lateral patterns will be muted out. In this case,
But
you
this
can
one,
you can
she
see
kept
one
that.
of them just happen to peep through.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. And it's just on this side, not on the other side.
Yeah,
she just has it on the one side. And I mean, you can still see the same traits that were in Kirishima as far as like the head color and the size of her crest, the blacked out tail, the top of her tail being as white as it is with the Y. And then another thing that's been pointed out to us with our cappuccinos that were with our high white females is the fringe on the ends of their legs right here. Instead of having the traditional fringe where it's the bright white, you're gonna see more of a transition of that color to fade into the black that they have going on. Almost like it's like
Yeah.
the Harlequin patterns,
Yeah.
but without the stripe of the dorsal or those fringe scales.
Yeah, yeah, and we'll see it in the babies we're gonna
Yeah.
bring out next, and we'll bring a couple comparisons.
but it's only with the high white females when we pair them to high white. That's when we start to get this fringe, where it's like a blown out on the back of their legs. That's something that Little Monsters pointed out.
Yeah.
We were talking to him the other day about it.
But
Okay.
man, now every time we look at all of them, we're like, dang, there it is. So
Yep,
that's
and
another
it's
tell
crazy.
for us.
And so I guess quick question, have you, now that you know you are producing cappuccinos, have you sold many before you knew they were cappuccinos? You're laughing.
Yeah. Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
we did.
There's some
Man,
floating
we
around
got-
Florida. We do have one that found its way over to Korea, which is exciting in a way because
Okay.
yeah,
I remember
we-
you telling me this.
we sold it to somebody, they turned around and then they sold it, unfortunately, and exported it to somebody in Korea. But that works out great for us because the guy that ended up with it has RCK lineage.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we
we were
might-
hoping that he was gonna get it and prove us out too, like
Yeah.
depending on
Before
who
you
got
guys
there
would
first.
even
Yeah.
need to.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's cool. We produced a super before he did, but this guy's
Dang,
already
stop
made.
bragging.
Yeah.
Oh,
This guy's
No,
already
I
made
think-
supers. He's got proven RCK lineage. So it'd be cool to see our
Yeah,
lineage
yeah.
tie into RCK.
yeah, I can't wait to see what he does.
Yeah.
But luckily, none like this has gotten out. And the ones
Oh,
that
yeah.
have gotten out are more of the phantoms, the phantom caps.
Yeah,
we,
yeah.
we sent a lot of those out. So
Yeah. Unfortunately, we didn't know.
yeah,
what-
we didn't
what
know that was it, and then we didn't know that the one that we sold to that guy was.
And have some of these people contacted you back?
No,
Nope.
because
No?
I think.
No.
Yeah. I think they're still raising them. I mean, this has only
Yeah, yeah.
been a few days. A few
Well, and
years
in the
ago, so.
crested gecko world, some people stay in the hobby, some leave the hobby. Some
Yeah.
people may have bought it from you as just pets.
Yeah.
that's exactly what
Yeah.
I think happened. They weren't to go to like breeders,
Okay.
like
Cool.
breeders who were breeding to breed.
Yeah, for sure. Well, then I think it's time, let's bring out some of the babies that are
Yeah.
fresh so
All right.
we can see what they look like closer to when they came out of the egg. And
Yeah,
so we
to-
can really, for even you guys at home,
To
if
s-
you may
to
have a
see.
cappuccino or not, figure out how to identify it.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's get a couple of them.
But I mean, even if you do have these characteristics, it all boils down to the only way that you know that you have cap is if you produce a super.
Basically,
That's what it.
Or-
to be
or-
even yeah.
because that's why you guys were kind of, for the most part,
Chill.
silent,
Yes.
chill about it until
We
you
stayed
knew
quiet. Yeah.
110%. You produced it. Now it's like, all right, this is what we did, guys.
yeah.
Yep.
So
And same goes if you're buying cappuccinos, you're gonna want to buy from somebody that has the proven lineage that's made a super.
yeah.
And I
Yeah.
know there's some people out there, so you got to beware. There's some scammers out there and stuff. So
Yeah.
we even had somebody stealing our pictures the other day.
Oh.
So
Oh, I'm sure that's right. That's
yeah.
welcome
Yeah.
Trying to
to
sell
Crested Gecko Breeding 101.
Yeah, yeah.
I couldn't believe that. I was
Yeah.
just like, dang,
Oh,
I guess
man.
we finally made it.
Yeah, we finally
We
made
finally
it.
made
Yeah,
it.
that's funny but
Jeez.
sad. Here we have two siblings, clutchmates.
Yes.
One is a cappuccino and one is not a cappuccino. Before you say anything, if you guys in the comments, go ahead and put it in the comments right now. Do you think the one on the left is the cappuccino or the one on the right? So, Morgan, go ahead and break down the differences in these two siblings and how you are able to tell which one is which.
Okay, so the main way that we tell is the tail. You'll see that the one will have a blacked out tail and then the other one has just more of a solid color tail. And then moving up, you're gonna see that the white at the base of the tail is different than the clutch mates. And then the caps will also have a Y some of the times. Then moving on up to the legs, you can see that this one has more fringing than the traditional fringing that's on this other gecko. And then,
The fringing at the base of the legs,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, at the
So-
base of the leg.
That is not like across the board an identifier. That's just
That's
something.
just our caps.
Something that we've noticed in our specific line when we started involving the high white dorsal females is when we started to get that fringing on the caps.
And if you see here the one on the cap, it almost looks like the color of the fringing bleeds into the inner part of the leg somewhat. For
Yes.
the
Yeah,
one
yeah.
that's not the cappuccino, it's just the straight line
Yep.
on the fringes itself.
A
has the
typical
color.
fringe that you would
Yes.
normally see versus the other, it's kind of like a exaggerated. What color is it? Like an orange.
Almost like how a drippy
Orangey,
dorsal.
Yeah.
works.
Yes.
How the drippy dorsal, the dorsal bleeds onto
Yep.
the lats a little bit, where in this, the fringe on the leg is
Yep.
It's also-
colors
yeah.
bleeding.
Yep, and it even kind of cuts up almost to the knee, which is kind of a weird. But
Yeah,
we've
it
noticed
goes-
it
yeah, it goes
consistently in our line. So
We've noticed that a lot of the time with our high white caps that the dorsal of them almost will blowout.
The scales.
Is that what they're calling it?
I've noticed that the scales themselves almost have a different texture compared to the non-cap clutch.
It almost seems like the scales are spaced out a little bit.
Yeah,
Yes.
it has a very unique look to it. Literally like the cappuccino name. It's like a frothy type of look that it gives the dorsal.
Yeah, I've noticed that too.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah,
unique.
it's a crazy color.
Now on the one that you can see, this is actually the first that we've seen the blown out laterals. Typically we don't see lateral pattern on the cappuccinos. This is just a very
yeah.
unique, situation. Because the mom is a white wall, this is the first time we paired
Yeah.
Highway to a white wall
Yeah.
female. So.
But I was referring to the white is going past the dorsal scales. Like it's not
Drippy.
following. Yeah, it's not following it, but it also drips inward too. So then it kind of cinches it all together to make that high white that you're seeing on that. That one's almost completely covered.
Yeah, almost a full pinstripe or full solid dorsal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what I was referring to is the way that the cream drips, but then also the way that the scales make the light reflect.
Mhm.
Does that.
So back to the laterals, since this one has, some nice patterning going on, do you think that as this one grows and develops, is it going to fade over time or become more elaborate
Now,
on the cappuccino?
Now I don't necessarily think it's going to increase, but with dealing with our other ones that we've grown out, they did have a different mom. The mom didn't have the white walls the same as this one did, but with the other mom, ombre, those ones did dissipate. They went away. They were there and then they kind of blended in together to where they're almost like just barely you can see the difference.
I have a feeling that we're gonna see some of that white start to turn a little darker, and then the dark parts of the laterals will start to get a little lighter. I think it'll kind of blend. Once it reaches adulthood, I think it'll be a lot less noticeable.
Yeah. Because most of the
But-
pictures I've seen from even others,
Yeah.
they have very little to no lateral patterning.
It-
or you see
yeah.
the phantom where
Yeah.
the patterning's almost like muted out.
Yeah, it's this is the first time we've had one with that much lateral patterning. So
Yeah, so
there's-
it's hard
it's
to
a lot to
say.
learn.
Yeah, there is like a lot that's why I don't want to go ahead and say, yeah, this one definitely is going to dissipate because this one has stronger genes on that lateral.
So, and that's the cool thing right now is, like we were saying, this is still so new.
Yeah.
Like you guys are still learning.
Yeah.
I'm 100% learning because this is the first time I've even seen them up close.
Yeah.
But that's why this market, the crested gecko world, is so amazing right now. Is because it just seemed like yesterday when out of nowhere we had Xanthics come into the world,
Yeah.
and then Lily Whites completely changed the game when those started going everywhere.
Yeah.
And the amount and we've seen Lily White develop over the years where we have this vast array of different types of lily whites, from fully saturated to the different base colorings to the phantom lily
Yeah.
whites. And that's what's exciting about the cappuccinos and even super cappuccino is it truly looks like the possibilities are endless for
Oh,
what
yeah.
Yeah,
we
'cause
will
that-
start seeing in the future.
Yeah, I mean, we're 4 years in the project, and I mean, we're still learning every time an egg hatches, and we're still
Yeah.
figuring out, discovering things about it. Obviously, we've already started to refine our lineage down. We're trying to get like a solid white dorsal, which I don't see any other people doing that yet. But I do think as more people get their hands on the gene and they start breeding with different morphs and everything, I think we're going to see some really interesting stuff as far as what the gene can do.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, so now let's go to finally your super cappuccino. And obviously we kind of mentioned it earlier, but there are differences from the one you produced
Yeah.
to the ones we've seen that RCK produced, that now Altitude Exotics put out a video and showcased the ones he acquired from them.
Yeah.
Obviously one of the things people really like about them is the alien look of these things. You can see,
Yeah.
Yeah.
literally see their eyeballs
Yeah.
like through their skin on top, where yours is a little less transparent, but it is still transparent.
Yeah.
As we just took some photos with the light shedding behind it, it is a lot more elaborate than a standard crested gecko,
Yeah.
where you can see some of the organs going on
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah,
So
it's
talk
crazy.
about some of your differences and what you think is going on, I guess.
Okay, so well, the biggest difference is that we don't have the same eyes as the ones as RCK. Ours are normal. They are kind of like a silverish gray color, so
Yeah.
that is really interesting.
Where RCK, when they hatch out, they're like
look
solid black,
Solid
basically.
black, yeah.
But as they do develop, they
As they
It goes
grow, the
away
black
too.
will start to dissipate. And then we've seen a lot of pictures of RCK adult super caps that have completely normal eyes. And
yeah.
we're still not sure if we'll see black eyes out of our lineage or not.
Yeah. Because this is your first super cap, so
Yeah.
obviously, like we just said, we're in the learning process. So
Yeah.
I guess your next goal is to continue to hopefully produce a few more super caps.
Yep.
Yeah.
And see if any of them are the same.
Possibly try to prove out some of our other females.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a comment. She's a Phantom Cappuccino. Our suspicion, personally, just purely speculation, is that maybe the Phantom gene might have something to do with the super caps having black eyes. I'm not going to say for sure, for certain.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, we're still
I
learning,
mean-
but
That's what I was saying. Like it's the crested gecko world right now, so fascinating with all the different types of genetics going on. We're still learning so much, but we made major headway, especially thanks to Geckological,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little Monsters, Pangea, putting some of those videos out, documenting a lot of the stuff. I think we made some big strides forward, and we're
Sure.
still in that process now. And that's
Yeah.
kind of the point of this video, is to
Yeah.
continue putting this
That
information out there that you guys are learning right now.
yeah, as a community, it's one big project. You know, if anybody else has information that could help us understand,
What's going
feel
on?
free to hit us up. You know, let us know what your opinions are or speculations might be.
Yeah.
You know, we're always trying to decode this, you know, as a community. So
Hypothesis that we have of why we don't have the black eyes is because the parents are both cappuccino lights. They aren't cappuccino darks. So
Yeah, yeah.
I think maybe
Referring
that
to
could
their
be
base
it.
color.
Yes,
Yeah.
that could be it too. Because you can have a cappuccino dark and not be a fan. And so those are two theories that we have of why maybe these ones didn't have it. But who's to say that the next one pops out if it does have the black eyes?
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if anyone else produces, since more and more people are acquiring cappuccinos, if anyone else produces similar ones to what your little guy looks like.
we have seen somebody send us a video of a guy in China. There's a guy in
Yes.
China that has it's to a T.
Oh, okay.
Has the same patterns on the down the tail. Has the normal
Yeah,
eyes.
yeah.
Looks exactly like how ours looks. So
Yeah, yeah.
there is speculation out there that there might be two different mutations or strands of gene of the cat. But again, it's still something that as a community we'll have to kind of
Okay.
decipher
Come
all
together,
that. You know?
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, yeah, for sure. And so besides hatching out other super caps, do you have any other project plans for this line?
Our fraps.
Oh yeah, we'll be getting into the fraps.
That's gonna be the next step. Is we're gonna be introducing some lily whites into the line.
Yeah. So
And-
why order a cappuccino at Dunkin' Donuts when you can order a frappuccino?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's going to be the most exciting thing that we're going to do. And then also we're going to be trying to just continue our project of having the solid dorsal. I don't know if you wanted to say, like, we wanted to try to prove out the other ones and see, like, if the ones that do have those high white, what's the super going to look like?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
We don't know.
So.
Yeah, a lot to learn, man. A lot to
Yeah.
learn.
Well, this is. We're gonna say it here first, but do you know Zoolander?
Zoolander. No.
Are you? No, oh my gosh, this generation gap. So hopefully some of you know.
Wait, with Ben Stiller or
It's
like
about the
Ben
movie?
Stiller,
Okay,
yes.
I got you.
Because I'm hoping, so you have cappuccino, then you have frappuccino, so probably the level beyond that would be an orange mocha frappuccino.
Oh yeah.
And you guys probably have no idea what I'm referencing right
no,
now.
no.
But
It sounds cool.
you guys that are
It's-
watching better know what I'm talking about.
Know what could really help you sort through these important issues?
What? Orange Mocha Frappuccino! Yeah!
Yeah, I mean, we joked and what was it? The on-ramps.
Yeah,
That's what we were going to call them.
So
Because you have
So-
highway.
Highways.
we have the highway cappuccino is what that's just the term that we're using
Yeah.
for our lineage.
Yeah.
It's kind of our name brand is highway. That's our line.
Yeah.
We did think about calling the super a super highway.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And we've even thought about calling a frappuccino like an on-ramp.
Yeah, our
or like an
on-ramps.
exit 44 or something.
Yeah, that's great.
But I don't know, it's a lot of terminology to play around with.
Yeah, that's just us goofing. Just
Yeah. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up the video. So
Cool.
Kevin, Morgan, thank you. I think this is awesome information.
Sweet.
Good luck with all of your future projects. If you guys want to follow them, do so right now. I'll leave the link in the description below for your Instagram and TikTok.
Yes.
What is it?
OmniGeckos.
OmniGeckos.
Right here.
Right there.
All
Oh yeah.
across. All platforms.
So, anyways, thank you all for watching. Go ahead and smash that like button. Click the notifications bell. Follow these guys.
Smash it.
Smash it. Just smash it.
Yeah.
And we'll see you all in the next video. Peace.